Welcome. It is the return, the long-awaited return, we think. Some people are like, oh man, not these two again. The return of the weekly Zaleski Sports Show. This is Jason and Dan. On today's show, we're going to talk to you about magazines. I got another update for you in the magazine world. Yeah, go ahead, Dan, show it. We'll talk more about that. We've got football brackets, and VIP members get to see 28 football brackets right now on the website. And we'll also talk about this week's weekly schedule.
It's all yours, and it's all now.
All right, it's a show about nothing. I think we do a little bit better than nothing, though. I think we kind of cover some things usually around here.
What did you do today?
Yeah, well, I woke up, I went to the store, and I came back home.
That's a show.
And then we're going to talk about high school sports. That's a show.
Yeah.
And that's what we do around here. Sorry for the hiatus, just some scheduling conflicts and just overall, I'll just point it out, a lack of enthusiasm at times. Not pointing any fingers, I'm just saying, mainly on my end. Scheduling conflict was the main thing.
Scheduling's tough right now.
Just trying to figure everything out. We keep really busy around here. On a given week, we're anywhere between 40 to 50 live broadcasts a week. And we just unleashed our third weekly magazine, Stevens Point. Area folks get to now have Zaleski Sports headlines for free. In the magazine, you'll read about Stevens Point, Mosney, Pacelli, Amherst, Rossholt is what I was told is the correct pronunciation there, and Iola. Yeah, it's a family name, Rossholt. But everybody else says Rossholt.
Yeah, because people read how it's spelled.
Let's see here. Distribution, I can talk about that a little bit because we just decided that. It's our second edition.
That's a lot.
We did a soft launch last week.
Okay.
You've heard of that, right? Yeah, a lot of people have. Some people haven't, but did a soft launch. Want to make sure we didn't fall on our face is kind of why you do a soft launch. The Plover Metro Mart, Oso Brewing, Quick Trip on Division Street, the Quick Trip over on 10 and 39. You probably drove right past that one on your way here. Amherst Family Foods, the BP over in Amherst, Iola Amico, Iola Century Foods, Mosney Piggly Wiggly, and Gorski's in Mosney, and then the Rossholt Stop and Go. So those are where you can get them every week for free.
It feels like it's Stevens Point trivia time, and you're naming all the places that contribute to trivia time.
Well, and obviously they're great members of the community.
Yeah,
that's why they contribute to all these things, because they care about their local community and the success, in this case, of the Utes in our area. And these Utes get now a full cover or full color back-to-back. Front to back, full color.
All color, all through it. I don't know if you can even see it from the camera.
They can. Oh, they can see it. Yeah, they can see it.
And the front cover.
Yeah, well, of course, that's Pacelli football. They were big winners on homecoming. And the cover photo is Zane Phyllis. So Zane Phyllis filling in a quarterback. I know he was not the quarterback to begin the year. They had an injury at the position a week or two ago. But it didn't matter. Pacelli Cardinals, just like the Honey Badger, they don't care. They're going to win at homecoming. Beat the Rossholt Hornets.
Yeah.
20-16, one-score game. Exciting homecoming game, I guess.
A lot. Yeah, you like to see the really close homecoming games. Like Amherst was insane.
Oh,
absolutely insane.
Not even close. That was just bonkers. Bananas.
Yeah,
Bedlam.
It really was. And that's homecoming.
Yeah, and that was homecoming, and there it is, right there, right on the Amherst page in the magazine.
Should we talk about that quick?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Tell the people what you saw, because you were watching it.
Yeah, I was watching it at home.
Yeah.
And I'm watching 8 games at once, right? Hopefully everybody else is doing this, where you have 8 browsers open and you have them just open just enough to see them.
If you're not, you are not made for this world.
Okay. Yeah, and the hardest part is going game to game and turning the volume on for each one that you want to watch. Right? Because
deciding which one.
Yeah, because you can't have 8 volumes going at once.
Probably not.
Yeah, just too much. But, you start focusing in on the games that are close. The Pacelli game was close. The Amherst game was close. And Amherst has the ball at about the 15, 20-yard line, 20 seconds left.
Yeah, down by 2.
Down by 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. and they ran the ball. They took the timeout. They bring the kicker on. I texted you, does Amherst have a kicker? Because not every school has a kicker.
Yeah. And I couldn't even answer you in time for what happened next.
Yeah. So they set up for it. The kicking block is out.
Yeah.
The snap is terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Field goal would have won it, by the way.
Field
right?
goal would have
Yeah,
won it.
yeah,
It was a 30-yarder, 32, something like on the edge, like not a gimme, but like doable.
Mm-hmm.
Amherst won a game a couple of years ago from further out.
Oh, further out. That was about a 40-yarder, probably.
Yeah. And it was bad snap, and...
Yeah, ball kind of rolled away a little bit.
Yep. Thankfully, the holder picked it up, ran to his right to throw the ball. I'm not sure of the names.
Yeah, I'm looking. Go ahead.
Yeah. Ran to his right, ran all the way to the sideline, threw it all the way to the end zone. A really good throw to the end zone.
Yeah.
It was tipped once, maybe twice.
I think twice.
Right into the hands of the receiver to walk it off.
So Mike Golodowski was the holder. He picked it up and just kind of tossed it up in the air, right?
Yeah.
He was a half a step from being out of bounds
By
the time, because he was running that way, because that's kind of where the football squirted out to. Plus the pressure kind of came from that way. He had to buy some time because, again, you said they were on the 20?
Like 15, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if he gets the ball and just throws it up, the receivers, they haven't. And we heard from Caden Music after the game. And I'm probably saying that name wrong. I have not called an Amherst game this year. But we heard from Caden, the receiver that caught it. He had said he had just heard fire, which is the universal word for we got a problem here with the snap, and now we need to go into our routes or whatever the fire play is on a botched field goal. He said he had just heard it. So in this case, Golodowski could have just picked it up there and just threw it. It would have been an empty end zone. Yeah. He had to buy time. He was almost, and I said to you, Dan, I think he might have even been out of bounds. He wasn't.
It was really close.
It was really close.
And the camera doesn't capture it that well, right? Because it's on the near side.
All the players are standing in the way, but just drama on homecoming.
It tipped a couple times. The ball's spinning really fast in the end zone and just happened to fall in the receiver's hands.
Yeah.
Just absolutely incredible. And it's homecoming.
Yeah.
Right? It's probably the most packed game of the year.
Everybody from town goes to homecoming to watch the game.
And to walk it off. And an important one because it keeps them undefeated in the conference.
Yeah. Which we will put a dog ear on that one. Okay. All right, we'll stick that in the back because you and I are going to talk about what's coming up for Amherst on Friday for football later on in today's show. And it's everything that you love about sports. You had one team because the clock was on zeros at that point. Yes. They snapped it with 4 seconds left or 5 or something, but it was as soon as it was snapped, the game was going to be over one way or the other. And of course, everybody from Amherst is celebrating. Our very own Katie Lecton was on field with doing the post-game interviews. She had said that the whole team, some kids, and even a random dad was in the pile at the end. Probably because, as Dan correctly said, everybody from town is there. And so when you look, and you can see on the camera, people are lining the fence line around the end zone. And so dad's probably hopping over the fence to go and celebrate with their kids or whatever it might have been.
I have zero ties to Amherst.
Yeah, same.
I love close games. I love sports. And that happened, and I just started yelling. And I'm by myself.
Yeah, I know. I was on the phone. I heard you.
Yeah.
You were shouting, and I had to... I was steering in my car and trying to steer on the road from his shouting.
I'm just yelling because I'm so excited because it's something... It was a 1 in 50 shot, probably.
Oh, and more than that,
yeah,
maybe.
Just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I don't know if you could play the game 200 times with that happening.
And the defenders... they tried to catch the ball, right? Instead of batting it down or whatever. Like, it's so hard to teach those things because this is instinct. It's athletic instinct at that point.
Yeah, I'm here to catch the ball. This is what we practice, this is what we drill. Most of those defensive backs, probably receivers on the offensive end for Wyoming Fremont. And so you had all the jubilation from everybody in blue out there. And then the white jerseys of the, I'm not even sure what they call themselves over there anymore. They used to be the, I don't know. Anyway, I think they're the Warhawks now or something like that.
That sounds right.
They used to be something else. But kids are on the ground, right? Their face mask is in their hand. I mean, the sadness of it all. And we've been on both sides before. Yep. And that's why sports is great. It's the only reality TV that's that exists.
And it's not the first walk-off weird win by Amherst either.
No, it's not. Yeah, and they might need another one on Friday night. But again, we'll come back to that. Okay, so magazine, right? So you got your Marshfield edition that's been in circulation since May. We've got our Medford area edition, along with Thorpe and Owen and Withy and Colby and Abbotsford, Stetsonville. They're in that mix. There is no Stetsonville High School, though, as it turns out. That's been...
They go to Colby.
They sometimes, they go somewhere. Just depends wherever their mom drives to work or something like that. That's been a month now, plus. Probably 5-6 editions of that, and now edition 2 in Stevens Point. Dan, it is our manifest destiny here at Zaleski Sports. It's underway.
They are hot tickets.
They are. People really enjoy reading them and looking at them, and it's mostly pictures. So, good news if you have trouble reading. It's mostly pictures, and it's all of your favorite student athletes, all the kids in high school that you know from around town, and they're all in the magazine.
A lot of standings, a lot of talking,
some good information,
talking about the kids and talking about some of the sports that don't get covered sometimes. I know there's soccer, there's cross country.
Yep.
In this one.
Yep. Tennis, golf.
Yep.
We had a golfer on the cover last week. We get to swim. Did you say swimming? God, whatever. They're all in there. I mean, every sport that's been played this fall has been featured in one of these magazines at least once.
That's awesome.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. And people thought those kids were done being covered. Well, you were wrong. Okay.
Someone has to.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's us. But again, if we're on a mission from God, Blues Brothers.
It's true. I am trying to convince you to have us fly drones for cross country.
Yeah.
For cross country races.
Well, we'll have to figure that out for next year. This season's almost done for cross country.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. You'll supply the drone.
Yeah.
And the pilot.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get a permit or something.
You do. Yeah. Okay. That much I know. So, okay, let's move on. Right now on ZaleskiSports.com, VIPs get to see football brackets. Kidding me, Dan? Football brackets.
I haven't looked at them. I'm really, really excited about this.
Well, you and I get to see them here on the screen. And then, of course, you're a proud VIP member, as am I. Dan and I both pay for the service. And you should too. It's only $5 a month. I mean, you spend more than that falling down the stairs every morning. It's not a problem for $5.
I don't even see it taken out.
You can't. It's such a minuscule amount.
Yeah.
How would you ever notice?
I don't.
Same for you at home. So it's $5. And again, I don't want to tell the story every time, but really this is an invention on your request. Moms, dads, community members, years ago, just continue to ask us, like, I don't own a business, but I want to contribute. I can't advertise, and the ad rates I wouldn't be able to afford anyway. It wouldn't do me any good because I don't own a business. But what can I give you? And they would stuff money in people's pockets at our staff. They would give $50 or $20 or buy them a hot dog or something else. So that's why we chose the price point $5, and it's a way you can be involved, and we give you something out of it, right? We give you all this very interesting information. In this case, advanced information on football brackets. Now, there's some work to do. We still have 2 games left, so these brackets will change as the next 2 weeks go on. And as a reminder, we calculate the brackets based on many years of our understanding of the formula that the WIAA uses. We've spent many years researching it, double checking it, what do they call it, reverse engineering it, the whole thing, right? So we got it down. The football is interesting, though, different than the other sports that are automated in the postseason, in the way that, and this was confirmed last year by the WIA football commissioner, Tom Shafransky, that the hand of God, and in this case it's Tom, can go and does go and move teams around outside of the seeding formula, outside of the seed score, as we call it. But they will go and move teams around in their attempt to gain some additional fairness. So as an example, 3 conference champions aren't all in the same bracket. They will attempt to their very best to spread those out.
That makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
But with that human intervention, we are less accurate, so just being totally forthcoming here. But because we can't predict what another human being in a closed room is going to do in 2.5 weeks, we'll miss on a couple things. But it's still, if looking at these, you are going to know, is your team going to get a home or a road game? This will tell you that for sure, especially if you're curious about that, because they are not the hand of God doesn't touch the 4 or the 5 seed. Those get settled in. And what we're talking about when the hand of God comes in, it's moving a 1 out of this bracket into the 1 spot on another bracket. So the 1 is still the 1. They're just replacing a non-conference, undefeated non-conference champion with an undefeated conference champion. And again, that was the deciding factor, right? You are 9-0. You will, to the best of their ability, not be placed with another 9-0 team in that same bracket.
Yeah, very rarely it would have to happen, right? Because there would have to be...
Unless it was Holman driving to Superior
more.
because of it, right? They're not going to do that. They're going to keep things somewhat geographically logical. Yeah,
they figure it out. And you might have said it, football doesn't have sectionals pre-planned, right? Actually, every other sport, you know who's in your sectional well ahead of time. Football is not the case.
No idea, because in this case, only 80% of the football teams in 11-player make the playoffs. But still, it's up to 80%. We'll save that for another show.
80% is a lot.
We'll save that for another show. I believe, and Dan, you can agree or disagree, I firmly believe in the next 5 years we'll have an all-inclusive football playoff system here in Wisconsin. Well, we're only missing 15 teams in a division right now.
Yeah.
Out of 32 are in and 15 are left out. The
momentum
is there.
Yeah, the top 2 teams would get buys anyway, so you wouldn't have the
it's not really
16 game or something.
So we'll save that for after football season. We'll do a full breakdown on that with the 8-player teams that are what that looks like versus 11-player and why I think this is going to happen. I may not necessarily agree with it, I'll tell you that, but it seems like you can't stop what's inevitable at this point.
Now, the football brackets themselves, there are 4 regions for each.
There are. The state is split
division.
by 4. Mm-hmm.
And so what Jason has done, took a look at the teams that will probably qualify for the playoffs.
Yep.
Map them.
Yep.
Put them up on a map.
Yep.
And then try to figure out if I were the WIAA and if I were in that room next Friday night, how would I split this up into 4 quadrants?
Yeah, just knowing the map, and I've had, against my own better judgment, extensive experience with the map of Wisconsin over the last couple of years. It's the punishment I go through is what I'll say. Yeah, and then I'm showing Dan the back end of the formula here. You don't get to see this, but then they all get ranked by their seed scores. There's all 32 in Division 2 there as an example. So on with it then. Here we go. In Division 1, we'll talk about the 1 seeds, Dan, and we'll do. I think we've done this in the past. We'll do the 1 and then the 4 and the 5.
Yeah.
Those are kind of interesting, right? The 1 is the celebration, and the 4 and the 5 is always the interesting game, seemingly.
Should be the closest game.
Especially in the bigger divisions, right? That 4 or 5.
I have no idea about this one, but...
Well, it's true. Okay, so, and again, the brackets that I'm telling you all about are on ZaleskiSports.com. You click VIP. If you're not a member, it's $5. You can see them all, and from what there you do with it is up to you. I would parade into work tomorrow and clean house with everybody on being a sports expert. That's what I would do with them if I were you.
Yeah, and there's other stuff on there. You got state rankings and basketball rankings when it's basketball season and a lot of stuff.
Maps and everything. Okay, so I'm calling this one Division. So this is all Division 1. I call this bracket Southeast, and you'll understand why. Mukwonago is the number 1 seed in the Southeastern
Always
bracket.
A good team.
Always a good team, yeah. And they're on a collision course with Franklin right now.
Yep.
And that's just the way it is. And then the 4-5, Milwaukee Hamilton and Milwaukee Bradley Tech will duke it out to see who gets beat by Mukwonago in level 2.
Yeah, it sounds like it's not a far travel.
It's not. It won't be too difficult to find the way there. In what I'm calling the South bracket, Franklin is the number 1 seed. And they will likely move on to play the winner of the 4-seed Arrowhead and the 5-seed Sussex Hamilton. Again, we've got 2 football games yet to play. All of those wins and losses get fed into the spreadsheet, and then the seed scores can and do change, especially when it's such a small sample size, 7. All right, we got 7 games, then 8. The numbers do jump around quite a bit. So I'm giving you in this moment. If the season ended today, I should have said that earlier.
Yeah.
So Sussex Hamilton at Arrowhead if the season ended today.
Arrowhead also a really good football
Just a name you hear a lot.
Yeah.
In that bracket, the upstart folks from Oconomowoc having a great season down there. They lost their first game last year.
This one's interesting to me.
This one is interesting, isn't it? Okay, so here's the East. Bayport, the Pirates are the 1 seed. And Sheboygan North on the 4 line and De Pere on the 5 line. Tell us what else, Dan? What else do you see here?
Kimberly is the 2 seed.
Yep.
Maybe the most feared Division I team in the state.
Yeah, well, not according to Nina. Nina Rockets beat them last week.
They did. Yeah. That's why Kimberly's not a 1.
Yeah, and they've played 1 less game because people do fear them and won't play them in week 1. They can't get a non-con in week 1.
This is a tough bracket.
Yeah.
Drawing potentially Fond du Lac in the first round, that is not ever an easy game, right? And you have the Lightning, and you have Nina on that
setting
side.
Setting up a revenge game against Nina.
Yeah, and Bayport's always really good too.
Yeah, the Pirates are in it.
Yep.
Okay, and then Division I. Now this is called North, and this will make you laugh, right? Because the 1 seed's Verona. That's not North. I mean, the way the map is, because of the lack of Division I teams in the northern half of the state, they all do get grouped in here. So West and Spash and Everest are all in this group, along with Hudson and Chippewa, who are on the 5-4 line. So you call it something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's something.
Yeah, I mean, the way that it breaks out here doesn't seem so ridiculous. West and Waunakee, that's a long trip for the Warriors. But yeah, it seems like that's probably the best it's going to be. Yeah,
Marshfield made that trip last year and came back home. 50-0, I think, but you've got to go somewhere.
Verona got a little bit of a shade online. They
why?
Because they won 7-0 last week, and they're the number 2 ranked team in the state. And people are like 7-0.
Meh. Not worried about that. Okay, move on to
I'm just looking at the 1-8 game here.
You're going to have a clunker every now and then. Yeah, well, it's a rematch, the 1-8 game, and I don't. I said some things can change looking at the schedules as I know them, being somewhat of an expert in this field. New Richmond and Marshfield are destined to play in that first game in this bracket. Yeah, and New Richmond beat Marshfield 7-6.
Very close game. Their closest game
earlier this year in week 3, I believe it was. Marshfield's on a bit of an uptick right now. I guess you can't deny that. New Richmond, though, has improved greatly since that first game over at Marshfield. So that's a tough one for Marshfield. Both Tigers, though. Tigers will win that game.
Rice Lake really wants another shot at New Richmond, I bet.
Well, they might have it if they win a few. Menomony's the 4 and La Crosse Central is the 5 in this first edition of the bracket.
New Richmond, Rice Lake, Menominee.
Yep.
In the same site. Holman, I don't know much about, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. In the South, Homestead is the 1 seed. And I've got Wauwatosa East and Monroe on the 4-5 game over there. In the East, so you see a lot of, I say East or South, all the schools are still next to each other.
Yeah.
Is Division I, Division II, very heavy in the southeastern part of our state. Slinger, the Owls, who are the 1 seed. I don't think that'll change, Dan. The
unless they lose.
Yeah, and I don't see that, but
yeah.
Again, you predict high school kids, you'd be the first one ever to be able to do it. Beaver Dam and West De Pere on the 4-5. And Division II Southeast, Germantown, the 1. And Milwaukee Reagan and West Tosha Central, the 4-5.
Germantown looks like by far the best team in this bracket.
In that bracket, yeah, that was pretty easy. In this particular bracket, again, the geography is really interesting, and that's why the maps are so integral in the whole thing. And people out there will complain about, why do we have to play so and so? Well, because that's where you live. I mean,
yeah,
it's only geography. But yeah, Germantown is the 8th ranked team in the state, and everyone else in this bracket was 20, 25 or lower. Yeah. So yeah, Germantown looks to be the favorite in that particular.
I love brackets so much.
In that particular one, isn't it fun?
I'm like a pig in mud right now.
I know, isn't it fun? It's a lot of fun for us, and we get to see them and. Again, VIPs. If you're just joining us, these brackets are live. ZaleskiSports.com. You click VIP. If you're not already a member, it's $5, and it's $5 a month, and you get to see, football and then girls basketball, boys basketball, and all the other stuff in between there. So go do it. Division III. We'll kind of skirt through these. Not a lot of our listeners or viewers are Division III folks. Grafton is the 1 seed in the East. Milwaukee Obama in the Southeast. Mount Horeb, Barneveld in the south and west, they seem to be the prohibitive favorite in Division 3 this year. We'll find out. And then in the north, Notre Dame also in that mix as well.
T-Birds.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, 6. Well, look at Wausau East having a great year.
And then if they win that game, they lose to Medford.
Well, seems like it.
Yeah.
But based on what we know about these things.
So what's pretty interesting about this,
okay.
and when I saw the playoff eligible teams, that doesn't seem right.
No, I had to redo that one.
I thought to myself, where's Mosinee?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, well, they're coming up.
I know they are. So I think they're generally a D3 school, right?
Well, had been.
Yeah.
But enrollment and cut line and all those kind of things, so they're
so if you're a
bigger
Mosinee
Division
fan,
4 school.
Yeah, so if you're a Mosinee fan, you are like the second biggest school in Division 4 for football as of right now.
So it's your year to win a couple playoff games, Mosinee.
Yes.
Okay. South Central, we call this in Division 4. Columbus, the 1 seed. And, that one still got a little wacky there, but that's okay. Mayville, the 1 in the southeast. Freedom in the north is the 1 seed. There's Mosinee coming in on the 2 line. So if Indians fans are interested, I can tell you right now, you're the 2, and I don't really see that changing. I don't know that the, what are they, the Foxes?
I'll tell you what would really
Foxes?
help is a win over Medford, though.
Huge. You were guaranteed a 2 if you beat Medford. Yeah. Guaranteed the 2. Could you slip to the 3? Maybe. Good news though, Dan. I mean, the GNC, the conference, which usually brings the rest of its mates down, isn't that bad this year.
Yeah, because they're all beating up on each other. They're all 500 teams.
In that way, they've done better. Well, even in their non-conference, they've done better. Yeah. Prescott in the West, number 1 seed in Division 4. Aquinas, reigning Division 5 champion, comes in as the 2 seed. That could change. Prescott Aquinas could swap spots over the next 2 games.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. When we saw the team list, I was trying to figure out why is this school so much bigger than 3 other schools above them?
Yeah.
And then I realized that they got promoted in the success factor.
Success factor has them. Yeah, they were not that long ago. They were a Division 6 football team.
They were
now competing in Division 4, and vying for a top seed.
Yeah,
so that tells you about Aquinas.
They're also very good in Division 4.
All right,
6-5-4. Aquinas is good in all of it.
Yeah, I would say. Division 5 in the southeast, Milwaukee Academy of Science. All the scientists out there playing football. Good for them. Okay, we'll get into some of these a little deeper as we go. Prairie du Chien, number 1 in the south. There's Darlington.
Always very good.
State runner-up last year.
In Division
6. So they also performance factor. In Division, now move up to Division 5. You don't call it up. Move to Division 5. Kiel, undefeated in the East as the 1 seed. And here we go. So here's the North. And then we'll settle in on this one for just a little bit because there is Division 6, the reigning state champion Stratford Tigers. They are the runaway 1 seed. They are the number one in Division 5. So think of that, right? They won Division 6 last year. Lawrence Plattner field goal to win it.
Yep.
To avoid overtime, which was great for us because then we got to leave a half hour.
It was already a long day. It was a long
day. Yeah. So Stratford the 1 seed, Northwestern the 5, Elk Mound the 4. Stratford Northwestern have had some history in recent playoff times. Well, they have. St. Croix Falls looks to be the 2. I don't see that changing.
That's a tough team.
It is, though. It is another Heart of North football team. And then Stanley Boyd. We saw the Orioles earlier this year. They did take their first loss last week against Regis, which probably had them settle in at a 3. I don't think they can. After that loss, they can't reach a 2. They can't reach a 4. I think they are locked in at that 3 no matter what.
Dangerous 3, but the 2 being St. Croix Falls. That's a tough.
Well,
it's a tough game.
Yeah, you'd have to go to the St. Croix River.
Yep.
In level 2 if you're the Stanley Boyd Orioles, which I don't think they'd be afraid of at all. But Stratford Tigers look very strong in Division 5 here in 2020.
I would say that this is one of the better Stratford teams we've covered.
Really,
we've covered really good ones.
Yeah, they've really culminated on this. You hear a lot about, coach's kid this or coach's kid that. Well, in this case, coach's kid is the quarterback, which you've heard that story 100 times. But Jack Tubbs is a tremendous student athlete. I don't care whose kid he is. Tremendous student athlete, but being the coach's kid it's having another coaching expert on the field in this case, and that's going to help out. It has helped, and it would, especially come playoff time, that's when it really pays off.
Yeah.
Just that having that knowledge. And even if you're not the coach's kid, by the way, you can still be really knowledgeable and an expert on the field. You just have to work at it. And so when you're the coach's kid, you still work at it. You're just hearing it all the time. But if you're not the coach's kid, go to somebody and hear it all the time. Go figure it out.
Yeah, the only thing I would be a little concerned about is how Stratford would play in a close game.
They don't have experience in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But at some point, it's going to be a one-possession game late, and just hope that...
Yeah. Level 3, level 4, it'll probably be. Yeah. Okay, Division 6, as we look at the Southwest, Cambridge, the 1 seed there. In the East, it's Lomira. Northeast, Coleman.
the wrestlers.
Yeah, the Coleman. No more Hurley to take up those top spots in Division 6, as they're 8-player now, but that's where they used to settle in. And then, of course, Regis in the top spot in Division 6.
Grantsburg is not going to be happy with that trip.
Yeah, well, there it is. Yeah, Grantsburg to Eau Claire in a level 3. It so appears, as we look at it now.
In Abbotsford with a home game.
Abbotsford with a home game. Yeah, there you go.
Good team this year.
Good team this year. Yeah, they, as our friend of the show, Ryan Klein, says, they laid an egg last week. And they did against Auburndale. Now, Auburndale's a really good football team. And they're in this mix as well. Again, go to the page. I've said it 100 times. I've said it 1,000,000 times. Go be a VIP today and see where they are. In Division 7, Potosi-Cassville, a really good team. A lot of folks think Potosi-Cassville could be the state champions this year in Division 7. They come in as the one. There's Blackhawk Warren down there on the 4 line. So always a perennial football power in Division 7.
On the 4 line, on the Illinois line.
And on the Illinois line. As a matter of fact, some of the kids playing the team are from Illinois. Yes. They live in Illinois. That's right. In the South Central, Ithaca, which I know nothing about. The Ithaca Braves, maybe. I could even have that wrong. We'll come back to that one. In the West, Boyceville. So you and I talked about, okay, undefeated conference champs. You got to split them up. Well, that's going to take care of itself in Division 7 because Boyceville and Spring Valley play each other. So last year, Edgar got in that mix where they were an undefeated, or they were actually a one-loss division champ, weren't they?
They lost the first game to Prescott or something.
So they end up being the 2 seed. Yep. And going into what they thought was a region that they didn't believe was very favorable to them. But they rolled right through it anyway. So Boyceville was one of those teams they rolled through. And Boyceville looks to be the 1 seed in the West. If they aren't, it'll be Spring Valley. They play each other on Friday. So the 1 seed is winner of that game.
The 1 seed.
That's correct. That's correct. Okay. And then in the North, there we go. And this one wasn't even close. So I don't see it changing. Edgar, a very winnable game coming up against Pacelli. And then a very winnable game to end the season, I believe. Abbotsford. So extremely winnable game this Friday, though, for the Edgar Wildcats. They do have 1 loss, though. So a second wouldn't be good, but they are the clear, in this group, they are the clear number 1 seed, Edgar Wildcats.
Yeah, I've got Iola in the 4-5 game,
yep.
Which would be pretty interesting. We've seen Pepin Alma a little bit. They have the annual game with Assumption.
Yeah.
Pretty good school, usually. Yep. Crivets is in there. Crivets is a bigger school that is just losing enrollment, right?
Correct, in that northeastern part of the state.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, there you go. So
I love it.
Yeah. So see the brackets yourself over at ZaleskiSports.com. Just click VIP. All right, Dan.
Let's talk about Friday.
Let's talk about Friday. Okay. All kickoffs are at 7 p.m. Kenosha Indian Trail at number 2, Franklin. Number 5, Kaukauna at number 9, Kimberly. It's a juicy one over there. Both of those teams are trying to stay on the 2 line.
Yeah.
Loser might drift down. Might.
And that's a big deal because the 2 seed hosts level 2.
Yeah, if you're a 3, you're on the road after you beat up on your first round opponent.
Yeah.
And then things get tough on the road. Number 9, Auburndale is at Assumption. Winnable game there for the Eagles. Spash at number 20, DC Everest.
That's the conference championship.
Trying to win the conference championship on Friday night there.
I think
a lot of those such games
I think the winner of that game is the conference champ.
I believe so, mathematically, because Marshfield has 2 losses and everyone else is below that. So I mentioned Pacelli's at Edgar. Wausau West at Eau Claire Memorial. Eau Claire North is at Marshfield. Marshfield looking to guarantee themselves a playoff spot with the win on Friday.
I told you that your Tigers were going to make it.
No, I'm glad. I was not agreeing with you. Wapaka at Shawano. Anago is at number 8, Mosinee. Number 2, Regis at Neilsville Granton in the mix for the shortest game of the week. Wyowega Fremont at Loyal Greenwood. Pacelli at Edgar would be the other one. So if you want to make a friendly wager for a Mountain Dew with your friend, you'll say, who's the shortest game this week? Regis at Neilsville Granton or Pacelli at Edgar? I don't know. It'd be one of them. And then
whichever one will start the clock running.
If somebody comes to an agreement to have a running clock prior to halftime, that'll be probably the fastest game. Probably. And then it's the Zaleski Sports Game of the Week. It is Amherst at Stratford. It is a de facto conference championship game there. Teams could still share with some wackiness in week 9.
Yeah, but we don't count that.
Well, we don't.
These are conference championship games.
Around here they are.
Get the banner.
Around here, yeah, we put them up right on the wall here. Yeah, that's our Game of the Week. Dan and I are going to be sideline reporting of that game. Mike Steinwagner on the call, Katie Leckton, Trevor Zaleski in the house as well for that big game. That's what we got going on Friday.
That's at Stratford.
It is.
Yeah, Amherst has their hands full for sure.
Yeah.
But every time that you kind of want to count Amherst out a little bit, they come out and they play a lot better than what you'd expect. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. It could be. I mean, anything's possible, but Amherst is a storied team, tradition, and they have a lot of upperclassmen as well.
Yeah, and a really good coach and coaching staff.
Yep.
The guys on the other side too, which again would lend this to your point to this being a closer game because a lot of equal parts coming in, opposing but equal. Seems
like. And honestly, if you can run the ball, you're not going to get blown out, right? And we talked about this at the Game of the Week 2 weeks ago, I think it was, where if you are controlling the line of scrimmage, if you can run the ball, you're going to be in control of the game.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're going to win, but the other teams can be playing at your pace, at your tempo. The first drive or two, if Amherst is able to get first downs and keep the Stratford defense on the field, it's going to be a close game.
Yeah, because if you're able to run the ball, you control how much clock is left in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
And when you're able to do that, usually the other team hasn't scored a whole lot.
Yeah, and especially in high school football, every tackle adds up. Every time that your run offense, your offensive linemen are pushing against the defense, it adds up. You run the ball 30 times, that defensive line isn't that interested in tackling. Aren't.
You've been at school all week. You've been at practice all week. You finally made it to Friday, but you were just worn out just from being alive and a school kid. And then you're expected to go out and play for 2.5 hours on a Friday night in an intense game like this one will be.
It's not the NFL. It's not college football where you have great athletes that are pretty equal across the board. If you have a bunch of hogs on that offensive line and you're pushing the other team around, you're going to win games.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. You heard it from Dan. Watch all games live this Friday night. Plus, we got a whole bunch tomorrow, too. So check the website, ZaleskiSports.com, for all the latest up-to-date live broadcast schedules. Dan Ross, last word? Do we shut it down after this?
Why? You put me on the spot.
I know. You just said a lot there.
Yeah. So, honestly...
You can defer to the next show.
For the VIP, there's a lot of work that goes into the stuff on there. Jason's underselling it a little bit because I know that even trying to map out the teams and trying to figure out where they're at in the state and trying to put them in groups of 8 and then using all of the math that is inputted manually by the staff, it is tens if not hundreds of hours.
Hundreds, yeah.
Right?
It is.
And it's really good information for those that are already subscribed. You know that it's really quality stuff. For the on basketball, you know the brackets and the pairings weeks ahead of time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Not everybody gets to know that.
Yeah. And we see it all the time. We publish them, and the coaches argue with us, and they say, there's no way that's right. No way. And then it comes out, and we were right the entire time. The coaches say, yeah, you were right. And the same coaches argued the next year.
Some just like to argue. So Dan said it right. We put in hundreds of hours of work on this thing, and you pay $5. So you're paying like a penny an hour, or maybe even less.
Yeah.
A half a penny an hour for our time. So we hope you appreciate it. We hope you like it. We hope you like today's show. And that'll do it for today. We'll see you again next week. Go Sports.
Sports!